Good, Coach. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Doing
All
good.
right, we'll just go ahead and open up the questions for Coach Harrell.
Coach, just what were some of your biggest takeaways from the opener? I know maybe not the overall performance you want, but do you feel like everybody, for the most part, operated the scheme fairly well for it being the first game?
Yeah, we had 25 guys that played defensively, and I think 19. And we look kind of just going through the numbers today. 19 of those guys were taking their either first college snaps or first college significant snaps where they're playing more than just 5 or 10 plays. We had some guys that probably played 5 or 10 plays in a game last year, but never 25, 30 snaps like they played last Saturday. So that was huge for us. You know, and for about the first 40, 45 snaps of the game, I was pretty proud of our guys, the way they competed and the way they played. I know we had 13 points on the board at that point, but at that point, I thought we were playing hard with tons of energy, tons of effort, flying around, getting hits on the quarterback. Didn't get a chance to sack him, but we got some pressure on him, made him make some bad throws. Got some stops in the red zone, making him punt the football. So we did some good things early on, and then there's some things we obviously got to build upon, and we got to keep improving on and keep moving in the right direction, and hope those young guys grow up really fast. So. Certainly some positives that we can take away from it. And then certain some things like anytime you play game one, anytime you roll a bunch of young guys out there, you're going to have some things that stand out and flash out to you that, hey, we got to go build upon, we got to go improve upon and keep moving in the right direction and get ready for game two in Georgia State. So that's kind of where we are. And at the end of the day, UCF's a good football team. And it wasn't as, I knew they were a top 10, top 15 team. And I was expecting to step out there and see a huge disparity. Once you step out there and you get in the ball game, you're like, hey, we're closer to being, if that's the best offensive team we're going to play all year, we're a lot closer than I thought. And that was a positive to me, to thinking that, hey, if that's the best offense in our league and that's the best team in our league, then we're not probably as far as behind as maybe I thought we were, and maybe we're closer to competing for this thing. And hopefully we can show that this Saturday and get back out there and correct those mistakes that we made last Saturday and play good defensive football.
Blake, how much is UCF's charm in terms of their offensive prowess, just the fast break and the speed of their resetting back up and that sort of thing?
Well, I think the first thing they get you on is they spread you out wide, and they spread us out, and they had a lot of speed at those positions. So that's number one, can create some problems. They're stretching you, across the field, and they stretch you vertically down the field, and so it makes you play in a lot of space. And then you're trying to get 11 hats to the ball, and you're on your kids about, pursuing the football, and they're going all the way across the field to chase a bubble screen or a smoke screen, whatever it may be. And you look up, and the receivers on the other side of the field have never moved, and they're already lined back up and ready to play. So it tires your kids out pretty quick, and you might be playing 90 snaps as hard as you can go, but the other side of the ball, their offense is not. So that's one thing about it. And then as a play caller, you can't be thinking about the last play or who made the mistake or what you got to get fixed right there. You just got to get the next call in as quickly as possible to get our guys get set up, make sure they're in the right position, and get ready to roll. So it's kind of been just the tempo of things have kind of been a little bit different. Last week we were, hey guys, as soon as you get the call, don't worry about disguising anything. Get right into the blitz or get right into the call and get ready to run it. This week you're having to slow them down a little bit. It's like, hey, remember, we're not playing UCF anymore. We're playing Georgia State. You'll have time to kind of disguise it, hold your disguise, and then hit your blitz on the run. So those type of things. So that's been a little bit different, and just kind of, getting used to back used to playing a traditional offense, so to speak.
Coach, it seemed like that the defense was playing really well until I noticed on the clock the 4:58 mark of the second quarter when they scored the touchdown. It seemed like after that, then there was another touchdown right before halftime.
Yeah.
That seemed like there was a momentum swing there that the defense was playing so well, and I really hated it for you and the guys.
Well, it was huge, and Coach has been talking about it. He calls it the middle eight, and I think I don't know if it's a Belichick thing or where it came from. He brought up a little analytics for our football team today for our meeting, and I think if you win the middle eight, which is the last 4 minutes of the first half, first four minutes of the second half, you usually win the game 75% of the time, and we certainly didn't do that, and beyond that, and for us as well, besides the middle eight, we always talk about when the next play, the last play is over. And I just think with a young football team right now, we're not quite mentally where we need to be. Like, we got to keep pushing our kids. Hey, something bad happens, move on. Something good happens, move on. We make a play, move on, because it's the next play that matters. Something bad goes wrong, move on, because it's the next play that matters. And that's, certainly those last 4 minutes of the first half and first 4 minutes of the second half, you like to take those 8 minutes away, because that's about 4 scores pretty quickly there. And UCF can do that to you, and that's what they do. And if you could have played better those 8 minutes, then maybe it's a different ball game.
With Georgia State, they obviously like to run the ball and be physical, but maybe similar to UCF, just with the balance they have with run and pass. Is that similar where you're facing a pretty balanced team, where you have to kind of defend a lot of things for the second straight week?
Yeah, he is. So obviously their head coach, Sean Elliott, we got to face him when he was at South Carolina. We were at the Citadel. And then their OC was in the Southern Conference with us. I faced him, I think, 5 different times. And he's changed over the years. When he was in the SoCon, he was probably a little bit more pass heavy, probably 60-40 pass. Now we have him kind of broke down more like 70-30 run. And, depending on the down and distance, those type of things. But, our goal is still the same: stop and run first, make him throw the football, especially a young quarterback. You're talking about a redshirt freshman who started his first true start last week or 2 weeks ago when they played Louisiana, and played really well. But he's still a young guy and still early in his career, and I think that's the number one thing for us. And he's going to throw the RPO. I say they're a zone read option football team that's going to throw the RPO off of it, and then on third down going to have a drop back passing game. So I think the UCF, certainly having those guys first, if they do go tempo on us, we're ready to handle those situations. The screens and whatnot, and it's an RPO game off of it. At least we've seen it in a live situation against opponent. So it does prepare you for other opponents, and certainly Georgia State.
Coach, how do you feel like your position group, the inside linebackers in particular, played? I know you got really 4 guys in there for a decent amount of snaps. How do you think they did?
As a position coach and as a coordinator, you're never satisfied. You're never happy. So that's what I would tell those guys, and they keep pushing them. I think my expectations for those 4 or 5 guys inside is they can be really, really good. I mean, I think we have, small conference guys inside. They just got to play at an all conference level, and they didn't play necessarily bad, but I think we can play a lot better. And I'll keep pushing them that way. And I think they kind of feel that way too. They think they didn't have necessarily bad games, but they think their expectations from themselves are so much higher. I'm on them all the time about we should be the guys that, have several 4 or 5 tackles for a loss a game and a sack, and, lead the team in tackles and run around all around. Now, UCF tosses the ball out wide, creates some problems there where you can't, your safeties have more tackles than your backers is what it is. But, overall, I think they did a good job of getting us set early on and running the defense early on and bringing some pressures. As the game went on, I didn't think we stopped the run as well. And that some of that could be the backer, some of it just overall and just what UCF does to you.
We saw a few kind of all-out or almost all-out blitzes, from you. Is that kind of a staple or a consistent thing you want to do, or is that kind of more matchup-based or what?
Well, I think we blitzed about 60% of the time the other day. We were in an odd front, I think, about 50% of the time, even front about 50% of the time. So those pressures, that's kind of what we want to be. We want to be a go attack, go play downhill, create negative plays, and we're throwing the punches. We're not reacting to the offense as much as they're reacting to us. Now, as far as we had to zero out a few times, especially early in the ball game, they got the ball across the 50 a few times, and we just we had to go attack and bow up right there in a situation where they're going to take some shots. And UCF is kind of one of those teams where, hey, you better bring it if you're going to bring it, just to try to get to the quarterback and make him get rid of it quick. So that was kind of the thought there. Not always will we zero out and we're bringing 7 at times. So, but it does get home, and it's a good pressure. So you might see it some.
Are there any other questions for Coach Harrell?
Coach, I was very impressed with the play of Sean Dorso and then also Robert Kennedy on the back end. Can you talk about their performance a little bit?
Yeah, those two I've been really, really happy with, really proud of. They fly around. I mean, Robert Kennedy can run. He can run like the UCF kids can run. So that's a relief back there to have him and cover some ground. And he really during camp he was a guy that had a lot of picks and a lot of interceptions, always run the ball. So I think his time's coming where we're going to see the ball end up in his hands. And then Sondor So, especially in some of the 2-back 3-by-1 formations, he's like another linebacker in there. You're getting him in the box, and you can use him in the blitz, and he can do multiple things. So it's been nice to have those two guys that are new faces to our program and certainly making impacts early on. We hope they continue to do that.
Okay, Coach Harrell, thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Okay.
Doing
well, sir. We're just going to go ahead and open it up to questions for Coach Kirkpatrick.
all right. Fire away.
Coach, just your thoughts on game one, the UCF game. It seemed like you guys were rolling early to the fumbles, and did that just kind of set things off a little bit?
I think, yeah, that's exactly what got us. If you would have told me that we could rush for 244 yards and have 65 yards called back on penalties, and I would have thought we'd be in the game in the fourth quarter, which was the plan. We said we have to go the full rounds to be able to beat a team, that caliber. I thought, that's what killed us was the turnovers. And I said that last week, you can't sit on the ball, but you better not lose the turnover battle. They had lost the turnover battle to Georgia Tech 5-0, and we almost duplicated that. So that was a self-fulfilling prophecy there, I guess, a little bit. But that was the most disappointing thing because, we probably hit and do ball security stuff more than anybody in the country. And so I would have thought, sometimes in the first games you're worried about that because kids haven't been hit live tackling or whatever, but our guys have. So, the first drive is a scripted drive usually, and, that's a game plan thing that you've rehearsed quite a bit. And the kids are comfortable with it. And, that comes back from the old Bill Walsh days and stuff like that. And it worked good for us that first drive. Now, there was some good individual efforts on that first drive. Houghton played unbelievably. He made a couple scrambles, made, great throw here and there. We actually overcame a 3rd and 20. We also, had another 1st and 15, I think. And then we come back, we have about a 7-yard gain. We fumble the ball, and then come back and have a first down run by Houghton. He fumbles the ball. You know what I'm saying? So we just did not do a good job of securing the ball. And I think that was really what took us out of the game early, because early is when we had a chance. We had a chance to maybe get a lead, and then we'd have had to, withstand that. Late, I was proud of the kids for they never gave up. They wanted to keep playing, and so they finished it strong, but that's still not good enough.
Coach, when you get to Tuesday and you've had some fumbles like that and that sort of thing has happened, what do you do to provide more incentive for them to make sure that doesn't happen again the following week?
Well, you don't wait till Tuesday. I know Sunday there were some incentives going on. I don't know if those were positive reinforcement incentives or not. There were some guys that stayed after the workout on Sunday and got that reinforced a little bit, how important that was. And it wasn't, they didn't do it on purpose, so it's not like that, but you're right. You have to set a standard that, that's not acceptable. None of the hits were like decapitations or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? They're good at that. I got to give them some credit. I will always give credit where the credit's due. They tackled the ball, they gang tackle, they put their hat on the ball, and so they did some things like that. And they were good licks, but they were all ball security deals. The ball was loose on all the situations like that. And then the interception was just a moment of blindness there, I guess. On 1st and 10 we would throw a ball like that, but that's a whole other story we'll have to get into if we had more time. But so we did that on Sunday. Tuesday we amped it up a little bit. Normally on Wednesday we do some ball security drills. We did them on Tuesday on the offensive side. We added a couple of them. I tell you what, a couple of them were not pretty. I mean, they were ones I'm glad I was not a player. And then we did them again today on Wednesday as well. And then in all our team things against each other, it's always that way, but against the scout teams, we had the scout team guys really stripping the ball and thudding them and punching it, and to the point of, about a second or two past the whistle, just to really, really overemphasize how important it is to have those fundamentals of ball security.
Donnie, I'm going to represent Igo and me with this question here. So if you feel free to say that we're idiots and don't know what we're talking about, but we both noticed on Saturday when Aldi Amatosho came in the game, a lot of time he was going in for CJ like an either or situation. Was that just kind of part of the rotation pattern, or is there a way to move them around where they could both be on the field together, kind of moving forward?
There is really and it will be probably a little bit more obvious this week. There's really three guys for the two outside positions with CJ and Audie and Blake Prohl. And Audie really can play both sides. He's the one guy that will rotate. He'll play to the left. He'll play to the right. Now, we're a little banged up inside this week between us with Josiah. We're not sure what his playing status is at this point. It's still Wednesday, so we got time. But we've had to prepare and play Audie a little more and Blake a little more inside. So, that's football. That's going to happen. We're having to do it up front on the offensive line. So we'll be rolling guys in there. CJ's a big physical guy, but he does get tired. He gets tired, and so we do try to rotate and keep him fresh a little bit. The whole plan was, I don't know, it was 80 degrees. You wouldn't have thought it was that hot a day. The humidity, somebody told me, was 90%. It felt that way in pregame. I know all the kids were feeling it felt like the first game in September. It didn't feel like one of those later games, it felt like a real first game. We'd had a cool week of practice, maybe a week and a half of just unbelievably low humidity. And then we had some rain, and it was zonking all the kids. So we had talked, let's make sure they got something left in the fourth quarter. I think we did. I think that part worked out. Unfortunately, we didn't play the middle eight, as Coach Houston talks about very well, which is the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half, which are so important. And that's where we really got whipped. If you look at the other parts of the game, we went toe-to-toe or won some of those, but with that middle eight now, we died before the half, and we did not come out of the starting blocks very good in the second half right there. But the plan was to try to keep him fresh a little bit. And he was having a physical game with their corners. I mean, it was getting, a little bit out of control. We got a couple of penalties. Some of the time we took him out a little bit because of that.
Going off that, Donnie, with the
Well, you're not an idiot. Neither one of you are. Okay. And trust me, I know what an idiot is. I know how many people think I am one.
Donnie,
included one of them.
Going off the receivers, only 2 catches apiece for the big three, Prohl, CJ, and Talent. How much of that was, lack of protection up front at times versus their man coverage? Was it just a combination of everything?
Well, I tell you what, they did a great job. Again, I'll brag on them. They did a great job of trying to take Snead out of the game. And we love to get him the ball. And I think we missed – that was the part of the offense we really missed. Like I say, we ran the ball as good as I would have hoped we could have. There were some other things that were really, really good. We couldn't get the ball to Tyler. They put their best DB, nickel guy. He's an unbelievable player. We knew he was that good a player. They had not played that where he matched a guy both sides of the formations. And they really took him out of the game a little bit. It was unfortunate. I was trying to get him the ball as many ways as I could. Didn't do a good enough job of doing that. We did have some protection issues. I thought up front we run blocked really well. I thought we really took it to them in the run game. There were great running lanes most of the time. We had a really good plan going in, or we thought, to help the tackles with some chip blocks on the outside, because they've got really long, fast defensive ends that will just beat you around the hoop, man. They'll just outrun you around. And we were chipping them with that. Well, they just twisted inside and put all the rush up inside and tried to flush Holton out. And they tried to flush him to his right, which is away from his throwing hand, which is good strategy. Holton knows he has a tendency to go to the left way too much. We've really worked hard on that. He went right and was whipping them early with that. Made a couple runs, made a good throw to Blake. They just kept bringing it up inside, and we had a lot of times when we probably had somebody open, we couldn't get the ball thrown. So we did have some protection issues that we've got to shore up a little bit this week.
Coach, I know you were talking about ball security being an issue, but overall, you got to be pleased with the yardage rushing, considering the last few years East Carolina having trouble to run the football, and this is probably the deepest I've seen the running back room in a long time. And the kids, like with Mitchell and with Harris, they looked really good to be that young.
Yeah, I am. Again, you don't celebrate, a 23-point loss, I guess, or anything ever. But again, that was a goal of ours. That was an absolute must for us to get where we could be, able to run the football. Again, we had some great games last year where we threw the ball for a ton of yards. We don't feel like you're going to be able to win right now. We've got to help the defense out a little bit too, and it all plays hand in hand and just trying to play winning football. So, yeah, very pleased with a lot of the run game, minus just putting the ball on the ground. So up front, pleased with them up front, run blocking, the backs. The two freshmen continue just to make you smile. They both prove that the stage is not too big for them. Now that's, they're good players. I mean, you have to be somewhat of a good evaluator. You wouldn't be in the business for very long. So we knew they were good high school players. A lot of other people wanted them. They all had accolades, so we knew they were good. Then you get them here. You don't know how quickly they'll be good. Through the whole camp, the whole preseason, we still like, hey, they're pretty good now. You know what I'm saying? They're as good as we thought they might be. And so you're kind of grinning, but you still don't know how they're going to react to real college football. And then the schedule getting so much change. Oh my God, we're starting with Central Florida. Okay. Well, let's don't put too much on all these freshmen out here, and we had more than just those two. And so, we found out, though, that the stage was not too big for them. I don't think it would have mattered, where they played, who they played. They're pretty darn good. They just have some real instincts that are probably not really coachable, that they just kind of understand how to set blocks up, and they know how to kind of go slow to and fast through. And the holes just seem to find them. They just block a little better when they're in there sometimes. So we're really, really excited for them. Now, hey, every week's a new week. We tell them that, what I'm saying? And there are no easy games in college, what I'm saying? High school, you got a couple of those, sometimes you don't have to worry about them. There are no easy ones on our schedule anyhow. I mean, Georgia State, people think that's our easy game this year. And this is a team that went to a bowl game last year. So, they're pretty good.
How is Darius holding up this week?
Well, Darius has had a tough week. And I'm assuming everyone knows that his father passed away on Sunday, and he was a young man that was very close to his father. I think literally they spoke every morning, the first thing before he went to class or did anything, or before the dad went and did anything else, they always spoke. So it was, he has had some illness, but it was very unexpected. So on Sunday, that was a boy has a knee buckler, and he's really struggled. I mean, mentally. Luckily, he's got some really good friends on the team, especially the guys in that running back room. They've all rallied around him and supported him all through the staff. Coach Houston, everybody loves Darius, and so they're there. But, as I told him, I can't even imagine, what you're feeling right now. So it's been a tough week, and I don't know. Right now with Darius, football is just really not anything we're even thinking about with him. We're just trying to hope that he's okay, with all the other things. Things are more important.
Coach, kind of a two-part question. Do you expect Darius to play this weekend? And also, maybe you can give your keys to victory offensively when you take on Georgia State.
Well, he says he wants to play, and I think it's a deal where he thinks that's what his dad would want him to do, and so that's his decision. He and Coach Houston have visited with about that part about it a lot more than I have with him. So as of right now, he has practiced, and he's practiced hard. And, he's practiced well, but you can just see it in his eyes. You can just see it in his body language that he's hurting. So we'll see how that all plays. It could be one of those inspirational deals, what I'm saying, Brett Favre type like moment, that we all know about. But we're not expecting that. Keys to winning the game will be obviously starting with the ball, the turnover battle. You know what I'm saying? We've got to solve that issue immediately, or we'll have no chance with anybody we play. We can't give them 4 extra possessions when we don't get any of those back. So I think that'll really be a key there to it. So I think the middle 8 that Coach Houston's been talking about has been the point of emphasis this week, which is the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. We've got to find a way to play better in that little stretch. And it's amazing. He showed the team today a deal. I think it kind of maybe came from Bill Belichick or something. They'd done a study, and excuse me, it's about 76% of the time you win the game if you win that middle 8. So that's going to be something we're going to really emphasize this week as well. And then we're going to have to keep the defense off the field. I'm saying we got to score points, but we got to keep them off the field.
Coach, tell us what you can about Georgia State's defensive scheme and personnel.
All right, Georgia State is very, very similar really to what our defense does in alignment type deal. They're a 3-4. We're a little bit more of a 4-3-3-4. They're the 3-4 version of that. It's a slant and angle defense, which means they're always moving up front. They play way back off the ball. If you really watch football and you don't just watch the ball, you know what I'm saying, and you really watch the game, you'll notice most defensive lines are right up on the football, as close to the football as they can get. They want to get that quick start. Their D-line is literally a yard off the ball. This is, man, it's like 20 years ago type deal. I know when I coached the defensive ends in Appalachian State back in the late 80s, this is the way you played. It was more of a read front, and everybody was slanting and angling as well. And our defense does a lot of that too, but they're up on the ball. So it just causes havoc, though. There's so many twists. There's so many different linebacker blitzes. Some are really blitzes. Some of them are just many different ways to bring 4 guys and 5 guys. So it confuses you. It gets you to play kind of a ugly game. We say a little bit, you can't get rhythm. You'll get big plays because you'll catch them in a movement, but then they'll catch you. And so, you have to be careful about having a lot of lost yardage plays, and they play really, really hard. The one thing we put the tape on Sunday, and everybody plays hard at this level, but I mean, they play extremely hard to the next level. You turn the tape on Sunday and we were like, wow. Okay, now they got the good culture there. Sean Elliott, who I know from Appalachian days, he's an offensive line guy. He's a very passionate, very excitable kind of coach. And he's got them playing really, really hard, and they play very, very physical. Up front, they're really good. Our offensive line knows they're in for a huge challenge this week, and the linebackers really run well, and the safeties support the run extremely hard. So they're a hard-nosed physical team that causes a lot of confusion.
Okay, one more question for Coach. Okay, Donnie, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.